Great taste. Sweet. Sour. So good to taste.
Welcome back to Great Taste on KRUU 100.1 FM, the solar-powered voice of Fairfield, Iowa. I'm Steve Boss. And with me in this segment that we call Iowa Cooks is Sabita Sawhney. Sabita is the proprietress and the chef behind Sabi's Cafe in the Golden Gate building. And we are so happy because we eat there all the time and love your food.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
It's
Thanks
great.
for having me.
Well, thank you for coming back and joining us because we really want to talk this evening about flatbreads. Mm-hmm. India has such a wide variety of flatbreads, and I got in trouble once at the cafe because I called your naan a chapati. Yeah. So I want to make sure that when we leave after this show, we know exactly what we're talking about when it comes to Indian flatbreads.
And you will. Because when he called it a chapati, it was like blasphemy. I mean, chapati is very different from a paratha, and I'll pretty much tell you about the whole gamut of, what are the different flatbreads we do. So the simplest whole wheat chapati or a flatbread that we make, which is not fried, is called a fulka or a chapati. And pretty much you have that for lunch, you have it for dinner, it's lighter because it's not fried. So I would just take some dough, roll that out and cook it. But you notice right now I'm frying, which is different. So I don't do that. All I do in the end is, after it's prepared, when I see brown on both sides, I remove it from the griddle and I put a little bit of ghee on it. And that's what you would traditionally eat every day for lunch or dinner.
A chapati.
A chapati. And that's also a fulka. So that's the simplest version of a flatbread.
Okay, and ghee is clarified butter for those people who don't know.
Clarified butter, or you would typically, if you were in India, you would have white homemade butter on top. Not even ghee, but white homemade butter, which is made from whipped cream and, Then we take it to another level and we make a paratha. So a simple paratha would be, again, you have dough, you roll it out, but you fry it on both sides. And you put a little bit of ajwain seeds in it, you put a little bit of salt in it, you put a little bit of ghee inside it. So a little heavier, but again, a lot of kids are encouraged to eat parathas right up to the age of, till they're high school or 16 or 18, and then you slow down a little bit.
Why?
Because you put lots of ghee in it, and as you eat...
So why do you want to slow down?
It gets a little difficult to digest when you grow older and, you're being sensible about these things. But pretty much, again, so that's a paratha.
Okay, so ajwain seed is celery seed.
Yes, celery seeds, a little bit of salt, fried on both sides, and also a little bit of ghee in between. So paratha actually means layered flatbread. Paratha means layers. So it's layers and layers of, dough. And that's what you may call a paratha.
Okay, now with the paratha and also with we haven't gotten there yet, with the chapati, what kind of flour are we using, or can we use different types of flour?
There is a wide variety of flours you can use. So what I'm using is whole wheat today. You can use chickpea flour. You can use corn, corn masa, and you can make fabulous makki ki roti. Makki means corn and means bread, Indian bread made of makki or corn. So that typically you have with mustard greens. So that's sort of mustard green and corn, it's fabulous. Then there are many other, you can use millet, you can use bajra, there are many other different flours that you can use to make the same. But typically you would use whole wheat flour to make your fulka or chapati, or to make a paratha. So you can use basically whole wheat.
Okay, now when I think about chapatis and I think about chapati flour, I think about a flour that's much finer than a normal whole wheat flour is.
It's good for you if you don't use the very fine one, because it has roughage, and remember, roughage is good for us. So it's ideal if you use flour that is not very fine. It should be a little coarse. Also, it tastes really nice, but then you need to chew it. And that again aids the digestive process. But for some reason, I think most people like it finer. So now we've sort of got used to, making chapatis which are lighter and finer. But Otherwise, that's the healthier one.
You like to make it with whole wheat.
I make with both. Depending on, if we have company, I might use finer. If we don't have company, I use a little more, coarser. So you can use, but traditionally it was coarser. Okay. You did not sort of remove the husk too much, and so it was really more nutritious for you because it has the husk in it. Yeah.
Okay, so have we covered now? No, we haven't done that. Have we covered chapati and also paratha?
Yes, and now the next thing is if you deep fry the same rounds, then you get what is called a puri. So you take dough, you make you have a little ball of dough, you roll it out really small, and then you deep fry it in oil, and then it becomes a puri. So it's the same sort of process you're using, but you can add a little bit of salt in the dough. We don't use salt in the dough when we're making paratha. We put salt otherwise when we're making paratha. But when you're making a puri, you can use beetroot water in it, and you'll have a red puri. You can use spinach water in it, and you'll have a green puri. And you can just use, a lot of people will put a little bit of turmeric, and they'll have a yellowish. So, if you're entertaining and you have company, then it's great that you have red puris, and you have green puris, and a little bit of yellow puris, and you take it up a notch. So it's very exciting. So that is a puri, deep fried goodness.
Okay. Now, one thing I wanted to find out, when we're talking about all these breads, India has such a regional cuisine. Are all of these breads part of each of the regions, or are there some regions where you only find one particular style or another?
I think parathas are used pretty much all over the country. And many say that it came from Peshawar, from Pakistan. But I know that if you even look at Vedic literature, parathas were used, and also paratha is used even for yagyas. You use parathas with some, when you're doing a havan or a yagya, you would use like a chapati or a paratha as an offering.
Okay, so I want to make sure that everyone understands what you're talking about. So a yagya is a particular type of offering in terms of some more of
a prayer, you make an offering, so you do use. So I think it would not be amiss if we claimed that the paratha really started from India, the Vedic culture.
We're not going to get into some huge,
Maybe
fight.
I won't get into a controversial thing. But let's say that parathas are used all over the country, whether it's north or south. But I think little more in the north than south. Yeah. Somebody sounds good.
Okay, so all over the country for certain types of bread, but other things you're only going to find in certain particular regions.
Yeah, and depends on the many. In south of India, you may have something else for breakfast. You may have, maybe dosas for breakfast. In the east, you might have dhokla for breakfast, which is again chickpea flour. You make something with steamed chickpea flour. It's really interesting. But predominantly in the north, if you were traveling in the northern part of India, this is what you would get for breakfast. Not fulkas, but you would get a paratha. Or you would get a puri with potatoes. So that's a traditional breakfast as well. And you might get dosas as well for, a restaurant or two might have it. But typically in a household, you would get parathas and fulkas.
Okay, so what is a dosa?
A dosa is an entirely different thing that you basically make when you use urad dal, and you make rice and you ferment it together. You soak it overnight, grind it together, put a little bit of fenugreek seeds in it because it adds that oomph to your dosa. Grind it together, leave it to ferment for at least 6 to 7 hours, and then you roll it out on this big griddle. And I don't know, many of you may be familiar with, dosas, this big thing.
Paper dosa.
Yeah, paper dosa. And you serve it with sambar, which is tur dal with lot of vegetables, special masala, sambar masala, and also potatoes with onions in them. And it's so delicious, really good.
Okay, so that's mostly in the south, though.
And with chutney, with a lot of different types of chutney, coconut chutney predominantly, yes.
Now, we don't have any chutneys for these, so are these generally served without chutneys?
With yogurt. Typically, you would have this with yogurt and with some milk or chai. But also, often people like to have pickles. And, again, the six tastes on your plate. So a little bit of pickle takes up things a notch or two. So today we have made lemon and green chilies and ginger pickle, which is very healthy, very fresh, and we're not using any oil in it. So it's really good for you.
Yeah, it's got a little kick.
It's made by Steve Boss. That's why he particularly wanted me to talk about the pickle.
I didn't want you to say anything till we tasted it first to see if it was any good.
I was like, okay, let it go. He's like, no, so what do you have it with? Okay, Steve, you win. We have it with pickle.
I hope that everybody goes a little easy on it. It's got a little bit of a kick to it. I took out the seeds in the membrane too, okay. But even with that, it's got a...
Oh, yeah. So that's why you don't, take big spoonfuls of pickle. You just take a little bit and you break your paratha, dip it in your yogurt, take a little bit of pickle and have it together. And it all comes together because you've got, yogurt, which is very cooling, soothing. And then you have a little bit of heat, which ignites your agni. So you have your pickle.
Right. Now, what other breads? What about roti?
Roti is your chapati. Plain
Same.
Fulka or roti is your chapati. And roti is also sort of generic. For Indian bread, many folks would just say this is roti. We are eating roti and, a vegetable or dal or curried item. But other than that, we make some more parathas of chickpea flour and onions and some cilantro, and we put different spices and roll it out pretty much like I have here. Then I have another paratha with spinach in it. So you can put carrots in it, you can put peas in your paratha. So pretty much whatever you like. And if you have a fussy kid at home who won't eat this or that, whatever they like, put that in the paratha and watch the baby enjoy or the child enjoy. So the beauty of making parathas is you have great flexibility. There are no norms. You cannot use this, you cannot. So whatever, you feel creative, you want to try on something. A lot of people will make parathas with peas, green peas. Just give it a little boil, mash it up nicely, put some spices and make a filling. So pretty much you can use anything. Sometimes even plain onions. Paratha with onions, put a little bit of onion with some red chili and different spices and roll that up. So good. Really.
Now at your restaurant you serve naan.
Yes, and now that's a different game altogether. So we make naans with a lot of yogurt in it to ferment. Instead of using yeast and things like that, we'll make yogurt. It's a lengthy process, but really delicious, particularly with cholas and things like that. So that's a different. It's a mixture of whole wheat as well as refined flour,
yogurt.
With yogurt, yeah. So you mix it and you make a dough like we have, and then cover it up with a wet cloth and keep it in your oven in the warmest place. So I know many families, they'll put little woolen something on top, like a shawl on top, wrap it up in, a shawl, or keep it really warm, and then let it double in size. And then pretty much you can make them traditionally they're made in a tandoor. And tandoor is a clay oven, a really big one. But there are also smaller ones available, but you can also make them in the oven. If you have a nice stone that you can cook on. I'm going to try and demonstrate one, if I have time. I'm going to try and demonstrate making sort of a naan with whole wheat on the tawa. And that's when I need to flip it and do all those fabulous things. Flip the tawa.
It sounds great. Now this is a tawa.
This is a
right?
tawa.
This is a
Yes.
tawa. Okay.
Again,
and it's a cast iron, I guess?
Yes. I'm not a big fan of non-stick pans and things. I'm very traditional in that way. I cook only stainless steel, high grade, and I use this for my chapatis or fulkas or parathas and things. Not very heavy. It has a nice long handle, so it allows you to, you're cooking right next to the fire, but at the same time, it gives you this little bit of space to. And also, if you're making one of those naans, then you can flip it, and so it's easy to flip. If you have one of those cast irons, flipping those every now and then would be really.
It would be good for exercise.
It would be good for exercise, yeah. But otherwise, a little difficult. And I don't think you may not enjoy cooking as much as you will be if you got one of the tawas. Yeah.
You're listening to Great Taste on KRUU 100.1 FM, the solar-powered voice of Fairfield, Iowa. I'm Steve Boss. We're coming to you live from Green Building Supply. Actually, I guess if you're listening, we're not coming to you live at that point, but anyway, I'm here with Sabita Sawhney, who is not only the intellect, but the wonderful culture, the tremendous culinary art, everything behind Sabi's Cafe, where you can get just wonderfully simple, delicious Indian food Monday through Fridays at the Golden Gate building. And it's such a pleasure to be able to walk in and see somebody smiling that's cooking my food. And I mean that because when you go to a restaurant, generally you don't have any idea who's preparing your food. And that is such an important process and so critical to how you really enjoy your food. And to walk in and see you there, it's like I'm already digesting it. It's great.
Oh, thank you. The smile comes from the fact that I totally really enjoy what I'm doing. Many times we run out of things and we're making them right in front of you. You know, often if there's a vegetable that we can quickly make, because again, the Indian way of thinking is that anytime anybody comes to eat, this could be Brahma or God himself or herself coming to eat, so you don't want to turn them away ever.
Or Steve Boss.
Or Steve Boss coming to eat, so I know. So you don't want to turn anybody away. So if you run out of things, pretty much open the refrigerator and see, is there anything? But we normally don't have too much in the refrigerator because our policy is we cook. Now I'm saying the royal we and us, it's basically me. I cook fresh food, so we don't have anything that we can quickly pull out of the refrigerator. But sometimes we may have used a veg and maybe like cabbage and peas, and we have extra cabbage, we have extra peas, then we can quickly come up with something. But again, it's the divine in you, and we want to make sure that, you know, if you're coming to the cafe, that we get you to eat something and we improvise or come up with something and make food. And obviously, then, you know, you enjoy doing something, there's a smile on your face.
Yes. Okay, so the basic recipe. So we want everybody to be able to go into their kitchen, right? Go into the kitchen tomorrow and be able to actually make a paratha. So what's the basic recipe?
So this is the flour, you know. Go to everybody's, pick up some. It's called chapati flour in particular. So get some flour, and all you need is water and flour. Mix enough water in it so that it looks like, and I have.
You know what? Can I ask you a question first? And that is, so can you use, besides chapati flour,
you can use whole wheat flour, pretty much any whole wheat flour, right? And like I said, the coarser, the better it is for your digestive system, you know, for you. So pretty much mix water so that it looks like a dough. I'm sure many of you do a lot of cooking and baking and all. This is what the dough should look like, right? Enough consistency that it's not really hard. Also, you don't want it pouring out. So it's just...
it's kind of like Play-Doh.
You know, like Play-Doh, yeah. And that's all you need to make the dough. Depending on if you're making chapatis or parathas. Now, if you were making puris, it's the same process. You have flour, but you'll put a little bit of salt. And if you want, you know, to color it, then you would use beetroot or you would use whatever else. Otherwise, you can just make a plain puri. But you would put a little bit of salt in it. If you were making spinach parathas, then you would have flour, just the way it is. Fine chop some spinach, put it in the flour. Put a little bit of salt, any other spice that you like. I typically put some mango powder. I use a little bit of garam masala, and I use just salt and then water, and you make a dough. So here we have spinach parathas, and this is just plain dough to make parathas.
Okay, so I just want to go over this really quickly. So for plain parathas, we're just going to use either chapati flour or whole wheat flour or chickpea flour, whatever we want, and water, and we're going to make it into a dough that is like Play-Doh, for example, and there's not going to be any rising agent in it at all, and we're going to then we're going to combine that with the water till we get to the right consistency. Do we have to knead it at all?
You need it. You need it quite a bit. And you see, it has to be smooth. Otherwise, it may not be so smooth. And also, it's good practice to then let it sit for some time, at least for 15, 20 minutes, you know, after you've made it. But if you're in a rush and you need to use it immediately, even that's fine. But your chapatis will be a little dry. You know, this sort of, it's more amiable. It comes out better, the chapati. So just let it sit for about 15, 20 minutes. Also, it's good practice after you've made your dough to put a little bit of ghee on top, little bit of butter, or just put a little layer of something on top, particularly if you're going to refrigerate it for some time. Because otherwise you get a crust on top and you don't want that, right? It's difficult to roll out with the crust and things. So just add a little bit of, put just a little covering on top cover it up, put it in the refrigerator. And this will stay good for a couple of days, actually, if you like. You can totally use it for 3-4 days, So for working professionals, sometimes it's difficult to come up with like fresh dough and make it. So sometimes even that's quite okay for you to make the dough and keep it.
Okay, so that's the plain. For the spinach, we're going to add chopped spinach to it, fresh spinach to it, and we're going to add a little bit of salt, and we might put some mango powder in, I'm sure, right? And
Garam masala.
Garam masala also,
Pretty
okay.
much that's it. And if you like, you can put some cilantro, even in the spinach. And lots of folks like some spice, as in chilies. So you can cut green chilies and put them. Mala's nodding there. You can put fine chopped green chilies and you can put those if you want some heat in your food.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paneer.
Okay.
That's fresh cheese.
This is fresh cheese made of milk, right? So I made this earlier on and then just let it crumble nicely. And all I put in, the green specks are cilantro, a lot of cilantro, and then pretty much the same. I use celery seeds, and I put a little bit of salt, and I put a little bit of mango powder, and you can put chilies and things, whatever you like. You want red chilies, go for it. Green chilies, you can take it up a notch if you like. So that's pretty much it. So it's paneer, or it's homemade paneer that I'm using. So it's just paneer or cheese made of milk, whole milk, and then just put some spices and it's ready to be used.
We actually we went over a recipe for paneer last time you were on the show, but anybody can find it on the internet if they just look to see how paneer. It's very simple to make, something you can do very easily in your own kitchen.
Absolutely. And then the other parathas we are making, I have a stuffing of potatoes. So just get some potatoes, boil them, and then mash them up, just as you were making creamy potatoes or mashed potatoes, pretty much same consistency, except I have cilantro in it, I have a little bit of ginger in it, I have some celery seeds, and I have salt, and again, mango powder. You want to put some chili, spice, whatever you want to put in. It's very forgiving. Can't go wrong, really. You can put anything you like and it'll still come out all right.
And do we use russets, or can we use basically any kind of potatoes?
You just want to make sure that the potatoes are not sweet. Other than that, you can use any potatoes, because if they're very sweet, then the paratha doesn't come out as good. It doesn't taste as good. Don't ask me why, but it just, it's better with potatoes that are not sweet. That's it.
I'm glad you brought this up, though, because we're talking about savory breakfast, right? Can you transform any of these, or are they transformed traditionally at all into any type of sweet for breakfast?
I'll tell you. Typically, if you came to my house, we love sweets, all of us, my husband and kids and all. And if you feel like eating something sweet and there is nothing in the refrigerator or in the house, which is very rare that there's nothing sweet, but let's, hypothetically speaking, say that there is no dessert in the house. So don't panic. All you have to do is make a paratha, just a plain, simple paratha. Take some cane sugar, put it on top of the paratha, and slow cook it on the tawa. And the sugar will just melt and caramelize, and it's like, oh, so delicious. And then just cut it up, and you can't get a better and I need to go back. When you put it on the paratha and sugar, you put little extra ghee, because you want the sugar to cook in that ghee and then just sort of spread all over, and it's absolutely delicious. So they can...
A little cinnamon maybe too?
If you like, but traditionally we just put sugar, but you can put some cardamom, you can put some nuts if you like, and you can, but the simplest is you just have your, paratha with extra ghee and a big, good helping of sugar, cane sugar, and then just let it slow cook for as long as you like. It's crunchy and it's sweet and it's,
I'm glad I brought this up. Now in India, though, would you use cane sugar, or would you use what is used in India?
Typically, to make that, I would use jaggery, which is the rawest, raw, as in, uncooked raw form of sugar. And I do use jaggery for a dish that I make every Tuesday. It's zucchini with some jaggery in it, with a little bit of sweetness in it. But that's what we would put. We would use jaggery on top of but if you don't have jaggery, you're fine even with sugar. And any type of sugar, basically just some, but cane sugar is good for you, so you can use that,
Okay, good. Well, this is very exciting. So now what's going to happen at home then? We're going to demonstrate this a little bit later on for this live stream, but we're on the radio, we need to describe to people what they're going to do after they've let their dough rest for a little while. So now they have to, and the dough's smooth, and then it rests for a little while, and then they're going to have to roll it out, right? So is it like a little ball that they need?
So just take a ball.
Little tiny ball, right?
Yeah, and then just between your, palms, just roll it up. Looks like a ball.
Okay.
Now you need to roll it in dry flour. Yeah.
So after they roll it into a ball, they need to take it and put it into a little bit of the dry chapati flour or whatever other type of flour that they're using.
Yes. And then just start. Make sure your rolling pin is not like the heaviest thing like I have here, but pretty much roll it up.
Roll it out on a flat surface.
Yes.
Perfect. So that's really simple and easy.
Steve will provide the details, and I'm just going to hint at what we are supposed to do. Take a little bit of ghee, put it right in the middle.
So after you've rolled it out, and I'd say, what would you say? That's like, I don't even know, a disc.
Less than a teaspoon, really. Depends on, now, again, if I was making for a younger person, I would put little more. Slightly older, I would put little less, but it's personal preference. Many people like lots of ghee, and ghee is actually good for you. So, it lubricates your joints, and it has so many fabulous properties. It's good for you. So you can put little more. So all I've done is rolled out the dough, and I put ghee in it. And now
and the dough is,
do you guys want?
Hold on one sec. So the dough is rolled out to about a hand size, basically, the palm, a little bit, a medium-sized palm size, we'll say.
Okay.
Maybe, 2 to 3 inches, 3 to 3 inches across?
I think about 3.5 inches.
3.5 inches across. Okay, sounds good. And then we add a little bit of ghee. And then we're going to add some...
I'm sorry, I have to do that. I love Steve, so I have to do these things. Okay, so we put a little bit of ghee, and then whatever the audience wants, we'll make that one. Do you want paneer or do you want potatoes? Potato? Oh, so we'll make one of each maybe if time permits. So just take a ball of...
ball of potato.
That's what we're doing, potatoes. Put it in the center. I think we can do with a little bit more.
So you're taking a ball of potato about the same size as the dough ball, actually?
Pretty much, yeah. That's right. And then just bring it all together and make a little pocket.
Okay, so you're wrapping, so you put the whatever it is, if it's the paneer, if it's the potato, if it's the spinach, whatever it is. Oh, the spinach is different. If it's the paneer or the potato, in other words, a filling, then you take it, you put it a mound about the same size as the dough ball that you actually started with, put it in the middle, and then you fold up the edges over the top of it.
Make a little pocket. Now, there are two ways of doing this. Sometimes folks have difficulty using one, disc and then putting it all together. You can use 2 discs. A lot of people will roll up one round, put the stuffing in the center, take another one, put it on top, seal the edges, and roll that out. But my personal preference is this, because I'm getting more stuffing. I like lots of paneer, and this allows me to get lots of paneer or a lot of potatoes with one, one helping of the...
Yeah, the other way is the wimpy way. We don't want to do that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so then with your hands, you're starting to...
Just flattened a little bit. Traditionally, they never used rolling pins. They would just pretty much do something like this. And you let this,
So you're flattening it out again. Yeah. And you can either do it with your hands or with the addition of the rolling pin, and then you're going to actually fry it, which you have to describe very quickly. But you're not going to do it right now, right?
Oh, fry as in, yes.
Right, because we actually have 1 minute left of the radio show.
So all we have to do is... So I will move really fast now, and you guys have to... So here we have, I rolled it up. Now I'm going to put it on the griddle or the tawa, heat it up, turn it, heat it up, and then I turn it third turn, I start putting ghee on both sides. Okay. And how would I serve? When I see brown on it, then it's ready. I move it from the fire, I put a dollop of butter or ghee on it, and serve it with some pickle and...
All right, so what if we don't have a tawa? What can we use?
You can use a pan, any pan actually.
Any pan.
Any pan is good, yeah.
Sabita Sawhney has been our guest on Great Taste. This is Great Taste on KRUU 100.1 FM, the solar-powered voice of Fairfield, Iowa. Yes, you can clap for us here. And we're going to continue with our live stream, but you've been listening to 60 minutes of delicious radio on KRUU. Okay, so now we can continue with our live stream, and you can slow down. I can slow down a little bit.
Okay.
And
we can start making...
We can.
These folks are here because they're hungry. They want to eat, I can tell.
I like to torture people, so
Some of them are going like yada 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 yada, like come on, get to the chase, start making. So we're gonna make some parathas for you guys now.
So Bob is here to help you out, so we can describe the process even a little bit more. Now, what I think one of the things that I learned, I don't even know who taught me how to do this, and I'm not sure even about it, but it was kind of like what I did was I took the round disc, all right, and then I sprinkled it. I remember I made a spice mixture, and I sprinkled it with the spice mixture, and then I added some cilantro to it, and then I just rolled it up from the side, or like this, like kind of rolled like this, like that.
Yeah, I'm going to demonstrate 3 different styles of making a plain paratha, and that's one of that you start rolling it up, and you put it on your palm, and you make circular movements with it, and you get many layers. So I'll show you. It's hard to explain, but it's amazing.
Let's do that. And Jason, do you want to help us out? Tell us what we need to move so that everybody can see when Sabita does this. Let's
I move really fast.
Let's try to make it so that everybody's got
so
a
should
view.
we start doing some plain ones so that we get everybody, give them an idea of
I think the main thing to do is to just do whatever by show them the different methods.
Okay, so let's do that. Okay. So
can we see? Okay.
Great. Oh, sorry.
It's all right. So. Yes, please. You can ask a question. Come over here, though. Come over here.
My question is, how do you get your paneer so crumbly?
Oh, I just crumbled it. I just broke it, and that's how this is what I did.
She uses her hands.
And that's it. Just start crumbling it up, just with your hands. Yeah, let it sit for a little bit. Actually, it's crumbly when you make it. It sort of is not crumbly. I mean, it tends to get together. But unless you want to cut it and do something with it, you put it in a muslin cloth and then, tighten it. Other than that, just leave it. And after some time when you're going to use it, just with your fingers, start crumbling it up, and that's it. And then I put a little bit of cilantro in it.
And when you make paneer, do you use the traditional? Do you do the traditional way of making it in terms of you're using whipped cream, or are you actually?
For paneer, I just use whole milk.
Whole milk, okay.
For butter or ghee, then I used whipped cream and all that. Yeah, but for this, I just use whole milk. With whole milk, it comes out good, especially with Radiance milk. This is the end product. It's really fabulous. Yeah.
Good.
So we'll start by doing just a simple paratha. And so I will get this. So I have my dry flour here, and I have my dough here. And all I've done is made a ball, and I roll it in a little bit of dry.
I don't know if anybody can see or not.
Can you guys see?
We have to move. Let's
we
move
can get
these
this in
over.
front actually, and then
There we
since
go.
we are not using these,
Okay.
we can just, we are making a couple of plain ones.
Okay. Now we should have a clear shot.
We have a lot of little things lying around, which we're just getting ready. So here it is. Yeah, and we'll do the rolling one first that you were mentioning. So take a little bit of ghee, and I need to move this. Right? I will take some, maybe if you could pass me the ajwain, the celery sticks, and salt. I mean the celery sticks and salt.
And the salt.
Sorry, we can use this one. It has a thing on top. It's easier to.
Now, what does that taste like? Can I try?
Sure.
Celery seed.
It's like.
I'm not sure it tastes like celery.
I don't. So all I'm doing is I'm.
It's a little bitter.
Yeah, I mean, normally you would have this if you had a tummy ache. Put it with a little bit of salt, and it's fabulous.
Has a little saltiness to
Yeah.
it, actually.
So this is what I've done. I put a little bit of ghee. Put everything. Put it on the, on your palm, and go round and round with it. So this is one way.
Wow.
And look at the layers that I have here. Right? And now I'm just going to roll it up. So the layers are all here. So again, I think we need to just reduce the heat.
Reduce the heat on this one, which of course I have no idea which one that is. Oh, I can guess.
A little bit of ghee, celery seeds, and now so press it down so that it's easy to. So this is one paratha, yeah? This is one way of making it. Yeah, the secret is out.
Can you show us that again, though? Because I think that went by really fast. And is it tough to do
It's going to be really fast when they start eating. They are going to go really fast when they start eating because these are pretty.
Bob, I think maybe you could come over here and help with the cooking over there if you don't mind.
This one, I just took some dough.
What does he need? What does he need to get those things out?
We let it cook. When you start seeing some dry patches, then flip the side. And I'll keep an eye on it when, we see.
The best way to flip it is grab it.
Yeah, I just use my hands.
You've got iron fingers, right? It's no problem.
No problem.
Actually, I'm wearing gloves because I hurt myself, so I have a small cut. Otherwise, I never wear gloves. I just.
You can't feel your food though. I mean, it's just like it's a crime. Some of these laws that are going
I
on.
don't like to have anything between my hands and the food, but
The sushi chefs
health is more
are.
important. So to make sure, so I have a disc here, right? Pretty simple. I take a little bit of ghee. A little bit of salt. You don't even have to, but and some. Right? So pretty simple so far. And then all I did was just roll it.
Rolled it from any side, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And I have it like this. It's all rolled up. Yeah.
Okay.
And then just start
Push and twist.
push and twist. Push and twist. That's it. I know. Push and twist.
Do you know how to do that? Does she know how to do it? Wow.
See? Yeah. And so you can see the layers. Yeah, you can see many layers. You can't you? Yes.
Roll the layers away with the roller.
It looks like there are going to be no layers left, but when we cook, they all magically come back. So the layers are all there. Just unmanifest. You don't see them, but they're there. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so that's one way of rolling.
Yeah. So now that we see a little bit of brown, actually we can increase the.
Oh, you want to go up again?
Yeah, a little bit. Now we'll keep it because now we're cooking. So we just put some ghee. Brown. Put some ghee on the other side.
Sides.
Yeah.
Now, can you use this as like a regular? Can you flip it by just Can you
yeah,
do this?
I do that.
Oh yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, you can
Oh,
just
okay.
flip it. You don't
can
have
do it
to
that
use
way.
your hands.
You can do it.
Okay,
That's
so
fun. That was fun. Okay.
so now you know. So we can even heat that up, and we can start doing it both. So that these guys start getting some food. So we'll do this.
Oh yeah, we have to have a stove lesson, stovetop. So you push the burner that you want to, and then you just
And then you can control it. If you think it's too much, we can reduce it. And so once that is hot, now I'll teach you a different one.
All right.
A different technique. So again, the starting point is the same. Take a little bit of dry flour. Roll it up. Oh, look at all. Oh, that's so
She is paying very close attention.
Oh, I love this. Okay, then we put some ghee. Yeah, and then we need a knife. So let's take this one. And we make little cuts.
Oh wow.
And this is called
All the way through.
yeah, this is called a lacha paratha. Again, lacha means layers. So, right? And what do you think we do next? We start covering them up.
So each one individually.
Yeah, so I start covering it up, and I've got ghee if you want to put some celery seeds, whatever. And pretty much I do the same thing, roll it up.
Is that instead of push and twist?
Yeah, instead of push and twist, now I make little cuts.
Now, does it come out a different texture or not?
Slightly different, yeah. Again, it's layers, but so that is another way. And I think this is almost done, so we can, yeah. Maybe we can put this one. Yeah, and then the paratha that is used most often, in every household, like the most basic paratha that we would. If you want to get stylish and make these, that's good. They taste really good, and you can get kids to eat because they like to peel apart the layers, and so they love that. Otherwise, the simplest paratha is this. Then you put some, again, a roll it out, put some ghee, put a little bit of celery, little less than this may be slightly more. Take a little bit of pinch of salt, and then, right, so this is what I did. I put one fold, another fold, another fold, and a fourth fold. This is like the most basic that's used. The only choice you have in this is you can make a rectangle or you can make a triangle. Many households, and I'm not making this up, seriously. There are many households that will make a triangle, and there are others that will make a rectangle. So I was really intrigued, but it is just something that your family does. So I come from a family of rectangles, so I'm like, so really interesting. So we just do a rectangle, and this is what it is. This is like the simplest way of making your. So now notice this is not circular, right? This is just, and this is the simplest paratha eaten every day for, lunch or dinner or breakfast, like we were. Yeah.
Now, I'm curious. So you come from near Rishikesh in northern India, and your husband comes from where?
He was born in Bikaner, which is sort of north, but more little central. But otherwise, most of his life he grew in Delhi.
Okay. And
New Delhi. So
did you find a lot of different family traditions as far as food was concerned between your two families?
Actually not. Interestingly, and again, support of nature, pretty much almost the same. I didn't have to adjust too much to, style of cooking, except North India, where I come from, Rishikesh, we are big rice eaters. Dehradun is the home of basmati rice, you may be familiar with, and I'm from Dehradun. So our staple diet almost in many ways is rice. My husband's family, the staple diet is more whole wheat, is more flour. So literally when I got married and, when I was visiting home, I would call up my mom and say, make sure you make pots of rice. I'm coming home, because I would really crave rice because, yes, they would have rice, but not as much as we do. For lunch, we would have rice every single day, not for dinner. Dinner would be more chapati or paratha. But for rice, it would always, for lunch, it was always rice. Whereas in Rajiv's house, my in-laws, they would have parathas or this for lunch and dinner. And maybe, if we had a lot of company and things, we would make rice.
And you have a family of rectangles also?
Rectangles, yes. Yes, thank you.
So his family was rectangles too. Good, okay. So now, another thing I'm wondering about is, did you ever... I don't know. Here in the States, it seems like it's more, not maybe currently, but before, if you had a holiday and one family was going to visit the other family, it really was that family's time to shine, I guess you would say. They were in the kitchen, they did everything, and the mother didn't want anybody around getting in the way or any of that kind of stuff. So I was curious as to whether the wife is allowed in the husband's mother's kitchen in general.
Not initially, because she has, and it's not that she doesn't want you there, but they have this very protective, they want to do the work, and that's something really fabulous. My mother-in-law, it's not like she stopped me from going into the kitchen, but she just felt that I needed to be taken care of. And so she would do the cooking and, and I really, really found that very nourishing and just really beautiful. That, yes, I would, and I would eat and I would demand she make something else for me, and some things she made even better than my mom, and there were other things my mom made better than, So it's one of those things, but, and then there comes a time when you've been married for a couple of years, then gradually they induct you into this, they give you this big set of keys and they say, okay, now you are in charge. And then the mother-in-law just watches from a distance while you make all these fabulous things, because then it's like, it's your turn to pamper her, because my mother-in-law is now 87. So it's my ultimate desire, and it's also something that I want to do because she's pampered me so much. I in turn take care of her and pamper her and make things. She was in She was in US up until last year and her favorite thing was pizza. So
is that rectangle or square or?
And at the drop of a hat, she calls me Subi. She would say, Subi, you're going to make pizza. And I would tell her, I said, I need a little bit of time because to make pizza, I cannot just. And she would say, it's going to be pizza tonight. And so she loves dosa, she loves pizza. I guess things that, are sort of different, unusual. So she would like to eat those kind of things. And yes, I would pamper her.
Nice.
So
nice, yeah, very
totally.
Nice. Okay, so we've seen all the different rolling techniques.
Yes.
Okay, now what about, we've seen how to fill with the potato. Do we need any other instruction for?
We can make maybe just a spinach one.
Spinach and then maybe a paneer also?
Yeah, okay.
To see exactly how we do it, okay.
So
we need, Bob, can you hand
the heat if you like. And we can even start cutting these and maybe start serving. You guys
they can wait for another minute or two. Wait. Yeah, so we've only got a few minutes of airtime and then they can get to it. Okay. So can you hand us the paneer and the spinach, please, Bob?
Yes.
Thank you very much. That's great.
So these are all ready, actually. You can start putting these. Okay, so let's do a paneer one.
Yes.
Goes right there.
Sure, just put it right there. I was wondering if it was speaking to us or not, but it says let's eat, and then we're using while they're doing that. I just want to call people's attention to a couple of things. One, if you don't have a great place to get spices. This is the Spice House catalog. You can get it by going online to spicehouse.com. And the Spice House is in Chicago. It's known all over the world. It's in lists that you see of the best places to buy spices. You'll always find the Spice House. And it's a terrific, it's so much fun. If you're around Chicago, you should definitely go there because it's just great. And it's really, like for example, cinnamon. They have all these different types of cinnamon. You can just smell all the different types, taste them all, and see exactly what it is that you want to use. Because there's Vietnamese, there's Ceylon, there's it's crazy. And then this, I just wanted to toot my horn for a second. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, it's all right. So, this is iPhone Life. This is the new issue. I don't think it's out yet. I think it's out later this month. But it's iPhone Life. And in this issue is an article that I wrote called "Calling All Culinary Masters: The Making of Chef's Feed." And this is my recommendation for anyone. For anybody who wants to know where to eat when they're on the road traveling. Chef's Feed is the app to get, because Chef's Feed is not Yelp. It's not whatever the other Zagat. It's chefs who are making the recommendations. So you don't have to filter it anywhere near as much as you do if you're using Yelp or if you're using Zagat or you're using some other crowdsourced type of restaurant reviews. You can trust these individuals because they are actually talking about their peers and talking about what it is that what they actually eat when they go to a particular restaurant in a particular city. So Chef's Feed is the app to pick up, and I think it's available on all platforms actually. Okay, so where are we right now?
Okay, so I'm going to do a paneer one.
Okay, paneer.
And then
let's move.
So again, same simple round, flatten it a little bit, put a little bit of ghee, and then put your paneer.
We're going to use the same. Now, the paneer is a little bit different. That's what was troubling me just slightly because the potato holds together, but the paneer is crumbly. So is that going to cause us a little bit of, we have to be more careful when we're making this then?
Let's watch and see what happens. Let's see. We don't know what's going to happen. So let's just, okay. So this is what I've done, right? Make a little dent in the middle.
You're kind of,
put it all together.
compressing it.
Yeah. And then just pretty much again, now you can use 2 discs. I prefer to use 1 because I like lots of paneer in my paratha. And I should actually tell you, if you're going to make paneer paratha, it's a good idea to make your paneer ahead or in advance because otherwise it's sometimes very watery. Even if you've drained all the water, and then there is a tendency for it to come out a little bit, which again, even if it does, nothing lost, but it just looks prettier if it's complete, whole, and it's not oozing out from everywhere, yeah? So it's sort of, if you make it a couple of hours in advance, then it stays firm and you've got all the water out, yeah? So this, we have the disc again, and pretty much the same procedure.
Sabi, how long does your paneer
So how long can you keep paneer?
Depends on how much it can last for a couple of days. Totally, and nothing goes wrong. Except make sure that if you're going to keep it in water. Because if you keep it dry, it tends to get little hard. And depending on what you're making, if you're making like paneer makhani, you don't want it so hard. So depending on what you're going to use it for, it's a good idea to put it in water and then refrigerate it. Don't keep it outside because it is a milk product, but keep it in water.
So you actually would take all the paneer and put it in water?
Yes. You would even take the whole paneer. Like if you're going to cut it, then you have muslin cloth, and you've got it like a nice shape. Then remove the muslin cloth, take the paneer, put it in a bowl of water, and then cover it up and put it in the refrigerator. Or if you want to cut it and ahead of time, you can still do the same, but put it in water and then it retains a little bit of moisture. You don't want it to be hard, so that's a great way of, So for paratha, make sure that you make the paneer ahead of time so that it's not like it's not very watery, but still if you touch it, it's very moist. It's not like hard. Yeah. So here we have a paneer paratha.
And we're going to always cook it the same way. Basically, we're just looking for the brown spots.
Yeah. And see, nothing's come out. Perfect, huh? I dare say. Pretty good.
It has my name on it.
So now, and then the last one we'll do a plain. So this is just baby spinach that I've used. Yeah.
So again, you chop it up?
You chop it up because then it's a little easier. You can maneuver better with this. And then just make a ball. Press it a little bit. Put it in dry flour. Now, there are two ways of doing this. You can either, I don't want to block your view. So we can either just roll it up and cook it as it is, or we can do the rectangle trick. Yeah, we're going to put a little bit of ghee and then do the rectangle thing.
How would you even do it?
Oops.
Yeah, that's what
So people are asking how you would do a triangle. So
Can you do it to triangle?
she's doing it, right?
I just did a triangle.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
So just fold it, and you can actually, for kids, you can do amazing shapes. Just as when you're making food, it's nice when you do different shapes, kids will eat. So you can do a rectangle or, any way. I'm going against my family tradition now.
We won't tell anyone. That's great.
It won't look as pretty as the rectangle, but should be pretty all right. Should be quite all right. Yeah, so you have a rectangle. There you go. So I put just a little bit of ghee in the middle, and then you make a rectangle. And you can make different shapes and, make stars, make whatever works for you. I mean, the little one would eat parathas in any case, but I'm sure if there were little shapes and things, then she would, there's some more fun element too. That's pretty much it.
That's fantastic. Anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? Okay, so hold on here. Let's see.
How do you decide which method to use? Do you always go with the basic or what?
Basic is what everybody does on an everyday basis. You want to make like the quick and simple and easy and just as tasty. But if you have company, and depends on who's visiting, and so you young ones, if you want to really take it up a notch, make the lachha paratha, use any of those, make the one with cuts, and people will just wonder at your culinary skills, like, wow, how did you manage something like this? But typically we would just make the simple one, fold it, rectangle one. But if you want to take it up a notch, then you can do whatever, whatever works for you. If
all right.
you have company, then you do things slightly different. Mala.
If you're gluten-free, like my family is, what kind of gluten-free flour would stand up best to this?
I'm not too sure because I don't know if it's unfortunate or I don't know, but I'm not too familiar with gluten-free food. So what flours would be gluten-free? Would chickpea flour? Yeah, would be gluten-free. So
chickpea will work really well.
Amazing paratha that you can make with chickpea flour. And keep in mind that chickpea flour is little difficult when you put water in it. It can really stick. So put oil on both your hands, or if you have, a KitchenAid or something. And you need to mix another flour with the chickpea flour to make it. So whatever other flour you can use small quantity of that because that lends some body and then it's not so sticky. And then cut some onions and mix them with your flour, put some salt, put oil when you're cooking or ghee as when you're making the dough. I put a little bit of ghee in this when I was making the dough because it just molds better. And we have spinach in it and you want the dough and the spinach to mix well. So similarly, you can make fabulous parathas with chickpea flour. Yeah, and it's so delicious. And just with plain yogurt, or you can spice the yogurt a little bit. You can even warm it up and put a tadka with a little bit of heated ghee, and you can put some spices and put that like hot ghee on your cold yogurt on a winter winter morning, afternoon is delicious. Yeah.
Other questions?
What's the water to flour ratio for making the dough?
I eyeball everything. I pretty much eyeball everything. So I've never really sat down and said, okay, so 2 cups of this and I need but keep a jug of water next to you. Take flour. And then typically I would just take this, put a little bit, start mixing it. And when I feel that it's a good consistency, that's the amount of water. I mean, now I'm in many ways a chef as well, maybe I should be measuring these things, but my style, and Steve is familiar with this, I never measure anything. So if you ask me how many teaspoons of salt, I pretty much eyeball and I say, okay, this is how much I need. So pretty much start mixing it, put water in this, and then, see how much if you need more. If it's too gooey, you need little bit more flour in it. If it's very tight, difficult for you to knead, it should be a comfortable kneading process. Then you can just put...
All right, other questions? We've got time for about 2 more maybe, all right? Can you come a little close? Okay, great.
Are ajwain seeds and celery seeds the same thing? Just that...
I know it as...
wait.
I know it as ajwain seeds. Steve has enlightened me and told me that they're also celery seeds. But I still, even if I went to a Whole Foods store like everybody's, I would look for ajwain seeds. And I think they are the same, but I would still, if you're going to go and purchase these, look for ajwain. That's what I know. I'm not sure that. But I think they.
We'll have to take a close look and see. But I think it might also have to do with the variety and where it's grown.
Probably where they hail from, and absolutely, yeah. But look for ajwain seeds, and that's what we are.
You'll be fine if you just look for ajwain seeds and not worry about it.
Oh, those are really tiny pieces.
You guys are in trouble. I thought you had to leave, and that's why.
So 1/4 is good enough.
And I thought that you had to leave, and that's why I was passing it. I was telling you to come up, but it's great that you're helping out. So, any other questions? Okay.
So, similarly to your freestyle way of measuring things, do you also mix things by hand? I know a lot of chefs that use utensils, and I just met a chef that she does pretty much everything by hand, and that rocked my world. I was like, what is she doing?
Pretty much. When I take boiled potatoes, and what I do to them is not a pretty sight, because I pretty much take a whole potato and I just squeeze it in my hand, because you have to be in touch with what you're eating, and you're putting your consciousness in your food. That's the way to do it. If you've got too much distance between the food and you, then how good can that be? Yeah. So, but make sure you scrub your hands really well. I mean, literally, I scrub and scrub and scrub because I'm responsible for, I'm feeding people and I'm feeding myself and I'm feeding my family, right? It's important. So scrub your hands really well, and as far as possible, use your, you notice most people would use a spoon to pick this up, and they'd be really doing all that, but I just pick it up and you get a good idea of how much you have to put, and just use your hands.
Thank you very much, Sabita. It's been great to have you.
Pleasure entirely. Thank you.
Next month, does anybody have the date? The first Tuesday in January. We'll be back with Fairfield Media Center live streaming this event, and our sponsors, Green Building Supply and Everybody's Whole Foods. First Tuesday of January is, anybody? Astrid Griffin will be our guest, and she's going to be doing quiche in many different varieties. Thanks for joining us.
I just want to give a shout out to the fabulous audience we have here. They are absolutely amazing, and thank you for coming. I really appreciate you guys coming here to support us. Thank you.
Taste. Sweet. Sour. So good the taste.